Welcome everybody to the Winter City Council meeting for Tuesday, January 17th, 2023. City of Winter will implement roll call.
Councilman Burns.
Here.
Councilman Clay.
Here.
Councilman Hockett.
Here.
Councilman Klent.
Here.
Councilman Schramm.
Here.
Councilman Sprinkle.
Here.
If you'd all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council, are there any conflict of interest in tonight's agendas? Hearing and seeing no conflicts. City of Winter will move on to consent agenda. Council, is there a motion on this evening's consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Councilman Burns has made a motion to approve the consent agenda. Councilman Hockett has seconded. Floor is open to comments or questions.
Mr. Mayor, for the public's information, the resignation is for Adam Bossert from the Police Department.
Other comments, questions? Hearing none, Chair will call the question. All those in favor of approving this evening's consent agenda, would you please say aye?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and this motion passes unanimously 6-0. Council, having had time to review your packets, is there a motion on this evening's agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second to this motion? Councilman Clay has made a motion to approve this evening's agenda. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Sprinkle. Floor is open to comments or questions. Hearing none, Chair will call the question. All those in favor of approving this evening's agenda, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously 6-0. City of Winter will now move on to recognition of visitors and communications. As with all city council meetings, the City of Winter makes a 10-minute window open for the public to address the city council. It appears there's no public input this evening, so we'll move on to communications. We will turn the floor over to the finance officer.
For the week of January 4th, Volun Oil was awarded for all of our fuel, and CHS was awarded for the propane. For the week of January 11th, Volun Oil was awarded for all of our fuel, and CHS was awarded for the propane.
With that, that will conclude recognition of visitors and communications. City of Winter will move on to department reports. Our first report tonight is from the Public Safety Commissioner, Justin Day.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We'll go ahead and start with the 911 Communications Center report. Over 2,100 incidents were entered into the dispatch system for the month. 1,262 were 911 calls. A little over 6,200 were for administrative calls. And then dispatcher Megan Blair is on track to come off of probation on January 25th. She is doing very, very well. The next couple pages and a half are going to be what the Winter Police Department was called to, dispatched out on, the calls that came in. So you can take a look at those. Those were 458 for the month of December. Moving over to the police department, the PD participated. Again, they were invited to Coffee with Cops down at CCI on January 10th. They did that in recognition of Law Enforcement Week, so they invited everybody down, and a lot of the officers were able to attend in that. And then officers from the police department, game fish and parks, and the sheriff's office participated in an active shooter training with a local business in town on January 13th. Feeding South Dakota will be held at the 4-H grounds. That was moved until Saturday, January 21st. Again, Saturday, January 21st at the 4-H grounds here in Winter. Myself and Chief DeVore attended an LEPC meeting on January 11th, and then tomorrow, the officers will be having breakfast at the elementary school with the kids down there, and this is just kind of another way that we're building relationships within our community. We are continuing to advertise, and we are now setting up interviews for the officer positions that are open. We decided to advertise a couple different ways this time, and we've had quite a few applicants come in. So Mark has then been contacting them as they come in, talking with them, and we've got one scheduled for sure, and then getting the couple of the others the information that they need to finish filling out, and then getting that turned back in. So the next couple of weeks is when interviews are going to start being ran for those positions. Over in corrections, our inmate count today is 165. So far for the year and month, it is 162. For the first 2 weeks in January, we've had 37 prisoner movements between in-town as well as transports. Then the 24/7 program, you can see all the participants on that. 6 are on the HOPE program, 15 on PBTs, 6 are on random UAs, and then 5 are on the Scram bracelet. We did meet with Direct Technologies last week, and the IT project will begin this week. So from this point forward, we will be having weekly meetings with them. So if you guys have any questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out, and we'll kind of let you know where everything is at in that process as we move forward with that. Continue to advertise for the open positions in the corrections department, both part-time and full-time. And then the hiring wage from starting wage now will be $19.65 for the corrections officers. Any questions?
Mr. Day, there might be a typo on the call counts for the month of December, because the admin calls is 6,255.
Yes. What did I say?
Well, that's how many we had, with 6,000?
Yeah.
Really?
That was that first storm and stuff coming in, and I mean, it was absolute chaos in dispatch during those events. So, yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. Any others?
How many corrections officers are we short, both full-time and part-time?
5 right now in full-time and 3 in the part-time transport.
And how many police officers are we short
3 currently,
out of?
out of 10.
Okay.
Council, any other questions? Very good. Thank you, Mr. Day. Our next scheduled report for the City of Winter will come from the Public Works Director, Troy Kruger.
Start with the Water and Sewer Department. A lot of snow removal, obviously. There's monthly samples. We sent in a sample for analysis for our permission to discharge. That permission was granted this afternoon, so we actually started discharging this afternoon from the lagoons. Several employees took their driving portion of the CDL to either obtain a CDL or to get a higher certification of a CDL. We've had 3 water breaks already this month and a couple of backed up sewers. Street landfill, snow removal, a lot of signs to fix, maintenance on equipment. We've had a couple pieces of equipment that have given us trouble during these 2 snowstorms. One, our Volvo loader, and the other one is one of our white dump trucks, so been working on those quite a bit. Burning trees at the landfill, we got permission to burn trees late last week, so we started that tree pit on fire this morning, and been doing several meetings with all my supervisors this week. Parks and Cemetery, snow removal. We've had a couple funerals already this year. They've been helping with hauling the snow off the streets, and then they're working on some of their mowers and whatnot. Light department, those guys have really been busy. Reading meters for our billing department. Energized the Nagel building, set junction boxes on Cherry Street, changed out a number of poles. We've had probably just since the new year started, we probably had 6 to 8 poles that have had to be replaced. Trim trees from numerous services around town with that heavy snow. We had a lot of services that were people calling in to have that trees trimmed for that. They cleaned out they've been restocking and cleaning out their trucks. They moved the snow off their lot. We had several Christmas lights on Main Street that the wind was kind of taking a toll on. We took those down. Bad transformer on the 800 block of Roosevelt Street. Kurt and I have been working with DGR, and we kind of started our mapping and our assessment of our electric utility, above ground and below ground. That was a budgeted for project that we wanted to get started on that right away this year. So been working with those folks on that project, and when that's all said and done, we should have a pretty up-to-date mapping system with the age of the infrastructure in certain areas and a plan to move forward with our underground. Ty and Kurt are in training in Sioux Falls this week. Killed and re-energized old Ag First building. They were short a guy in that department, and so they conducted interviews over the last month, and they offered the position to a guy in Pierre. I believe he accepted. I do not know his name. I will let you know when he starts. And they killed the power for some work to be done on the Presidential Square apartments also. Light department, he helped out with the meter reading for the billing. We had a training scheduled, and we canceled with the Landis and Gear people. And that training basically was to get our meter reading equipment up and functional, and to get that all ready to go. Because of the weather and a couple other things that came up, we canceled that training. So they are coming on the 24th of this month, and that's kind of been Ray's babies to get that equipment up and get everything going, and he's been working pretty closely with the Landis people while we've been taking care of snow during these storms. He's also been working on the reading system for Mark's project, which is the meters, water meters, and the Core and Main people, and putting up equipment for that portion of that project. And we have a meeting scheduled for this month also with those people to get started installing some of the software that has to go with our ENCO 10 and the reading equipment for that project also. Safety meetings for all employees. Ray had to install some boxes, some GFI panels down in the Sallyport for the scanner for the police department, I believe. Working with light department, Ray got out and worked with the light department when they were getting a heavy load of calls coming in on those services, and he helped out with those guys. And then we also had to do a fuel system upgrade on our fuel system with some new software installation. So that's the last month in a nutshell. Any questions?
I'd like to commend you and all your crew on your snow removal project.
Thank you.
The city looks great.
We appreciate that. Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. Jake Morris is not with us. We will skip over the city engineer report tonight and move to the finance officer report from Chandra Phillips.
I have a lot of information for you tonight, so get your pens ready. Thank you, Troy. Did a review of 2022 financials. The general fund for 2022 received $429,000 more than budgeted and spent $146,000 less than budgeted. The majority of the additional revenue came from sales tax, which is $167,000 more. Licenses and permits came in at $18,800 more, and miscellaneous goods came in at $200,000 more. The majority of that $200,000 is a $130,000 payment for a tractor. The majority of the under expenditures are from the police department. They had over $100,000 under expended in their budget. Code enforcement had approximately $50,000, and the pool was approximately $30,000. At the end of 2022, the general fund ended with $1,801,805.61. That is approximately $500,000 more than we projected when we did the 2023 budget. The municipal jail received $346,000 more than budgeted and spent $555,000 less than budgeted. Of that $555,000, council has motioned to move $213,929 to the 2023 budget. At the end of 2022, the municipal jail ended with $1,604,227.34. Once that supplemental budget is finalized, that will leave $475,789.98 above what we projected to end 2022 with for the 2023 budget. The sanitation fund received $70,000 more than budgeted, but they spent $86,000 more than budgeted. They ended 2022 with $20,000 less than what was projected. The electric and water fund both ended with less than what was projected, but neither needed cash for the 2023 budget. Both funds will be fine. Sewer ended up with more than projected, and that is largely in part due to using ARPA and CBDG funds for the highway project. We are working on an official number for each department based on actual wages for 2023 and the 4% higher CPI than budgeted. We should have that information by the next finance committee meeting. Utility billing training is going well. Brandy is the main trainee, with Rhonda and I hopping on as much as we can to learn. Holly was also trained in how to look up accounts. We will be finishing posting UB payments in Encode 9 on the 25th, and our next month's bills will be printed in 10. In approximately 2 to 3 weeks after that, we will go live with accounts receivable. All of the finance staff in Chelsea will be in on that training. We should be done and hope to be done with Encode 9 by the end of February. We have also received our bio readers for ExecuTime. We hope to be live with ExecuTime come May. Justin and Troy have the capability to log into Encode 10 on their computers as soon as DT has the ability to put the app on their desktops. And once they have that, they will have the ability to run those reports and drill down some and convert reports over to Excel. Once that app is on their desktops, I will do some training with them. They will only have access to their specific departments. Currently, the system is emailing them and the mayor their revenue and expense reports daily, Monday through Friday. CPI has been issued for 2023, well, December 2022, according to the U.S. Department of Labor. Yes, this is actually the U.S. Department of Labor's number. December 2022 was 6.5%. I did send an email out to all of council with that information and the link to it. This is the amount we will use for budgeting purposes. In 2023 election is now on us. Brad Schramm, Ward 3, Jeremy Clay, Ward 2, and Jack Burns, Ward 1 are up for a 2-year term. Packets can be picked up in my office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, beginning January 27th. They are due back to my office with all of the relevant information by February 24th at 5 p.m. The packets are currently being created, so they'll be ready for you guys to pick up 8 a.m. on the 27th, or whoever. But Dakota State did their testing on the city's cybersecurity vulnerability. This test was only for the finance, city hall, and public works. Dakota State cannot do any vulnerability testing on anyone who has a federal contract, which would include the jail, and all of the PD and 911 is tied into that. So they did not test the law enforcement building. They did test Chelsea's area as well. So that's why I say City Hall. I have a meeting set up with them on Monday to review what they found. We already know quite a few areas where we're lacking. Not going to mention North Shop, but we'll mention North Shop. There's also vulnerabilities in our office as well. All of this, Troy and I have talked with DT about before DSU even came in. Once this is completed and the report is sent to me and council has a chance to review and come up with any plans of action, then we send that on to our insurance, and that will get us a $10,000 decrease on our insurance for this year. City Hall doors should be complete this week. We had to send one of the cameras received from the school in the main entry. We had to send it in for warranty work, but we do have cameras overall. So speaking of that, sorry, I'm gonna fall too, to answer a few questions that are asked by the public when incidents occur. First and foremost, the community center is open, normal hours. I only closed it for 2 days over the weekend due to an incident. We do have cameras. They are not in the bathrooms. We will not invade privacy. We do turn in the information that we have to the police. We do press charges when warranted. We will close when a situation occurs that I need to bring staff in to clean it up. I will not pay staff overtime to come in when people are being disrespectful to the building. We want the building to remain open to the public. It is a great use for indoor activity. There are no plans, no current plans to charge an entrance fee. Those don't always work either. Ask the City of Colome and their Vets Hall. Names will not be released to the public, nor will what happens to those who break the rules. If we were only open during the 8 to 5 hours that the City Hall is open, that leaves weekends and evenings out. Those are our busiest times here. To hire someone to monitor full-time would be 91 hours a week. 52 weeks in a year, lowball pay rate of $12 an hour, that'd be 2 full-time people. You're looking at over $100,000 a year when you include benefits. We have tossed this around before. We have discussed having a rec director here, but the city only has so much money and so many projects to fund. Community service is not issued by the city. It is issued by a judge and court services. Could we allow community service to be done here? Yes. I could supervise that, but that is not up to me if anyone is given community service. With no paid supervision, there is no way to monitor if kids under a certain age have an adult with them or not. There's no real way to monitor if any of the rules are being followed. I do not have enough time each day to watch the cameras from the night before. There are so many people that use this center the way it is meant to be. Several people come in and walk and clean up the garbage from those before them. The majority of people use the center correctly. Unfortunately, there are a few that do not. Monday through Friday during the day, we do monitor as closely as we can while we're in the building. 30 days is still required to reserve the building. This is working very well. The community center is still a first come, first serve, and everyone must work together. For example, if a Y-ball team is practicing on one end, someone else can use the other end. The stage is not to be used without permission. We have asked for volunteers to come in and monitor for us before. However, no one has wanted to take that responsibility of enforcing the city's rules and have someone being mad at them for enforcing a city rule. And always, if you have questions about these rules, you can call me. I have a city-issued cell phone. It is 841-0285. Now I'm done.
Questions?
Oh, yeah,
from
sorry.
council?
Because you want more?
Well, you talked about a lot of figures. Do you have a constitutional debt figure at the end?
I
of
do
the
not
year?
have that on me, no.
Okay,
I can get that, though.
yep, I figured you could, I just figured, I thought maybe you had all your numbers tonight.
No, not all of them.
Chandra, the ones that have violated or damaged the community center, are they kept from using it again?
So depending on the severity, is that how you say that word?
Severity.
Severity, thank you, the severity of what they've done, That's what issues if a restraining order is issued. So if someone has done something bad enough, I will work with the police to issue restraining orders, but just depends on the crime.
How prevalent is that? How often have you done that?
I think there are
Or had
currently
to do
4
that?
out there.
4 times? Oh, that's quite a few. I mean, crying out loud.
And not every situation has warranted that.
Yeah.
I've had kids that have
Sure.
come in and done some random things, and truthfully, it wasn't anything major, but it was a mess, and they came in, they cleaned it up, and they were good. So, it really truly depends on how bad it is of what they did. I do want to keep it open. Is it a pain sometimes? Yes.
I'm sure it is.
But to see, when I can log in from home and see the people, there are sometimes 30, 40 people in there at night. The school uses it, Y-Ball uses it, the golf kids are coming in during the winter time and using it. There's so many people that use it. There's always someone in there 8 to 5, walking, almost every day. I get text messages in the morning on Saturday and Sunday, hey, can you come unlock this for me? Which, by the way, the doors will fix that because I can now set a timer and it will unlock at 8 a.m. and auto lock at 9 p.m. Police will still have to come in and clear it at night because I can't guarantee if it locks that there's not somebody in here, but at least, it will be unlocked at 8 a.m.
That's quite a benefit that we're offering for the city of Winter and for our youth and for whoever else uses that. It's really pretty remarkable if you think about it. And that's what it's there for, but I would hope anybody out there listening that everyone would respect it for what it is, a city building. The city of Winter owns that. We need respect for city property. And if everybody works together on it, and monitors that, each individual, moving forward, it should alleviate a lot of that stuff, so.
Correct. It is a quality of life, same as your
It is.
pool,
It's-
same as your golf course, whatever you want to call it, your parks. It's 100% a quality of life, but with that, it's being paid for by sales tax dollars. And those only go so far. We have 13 different departments that are fighting for that money. So there's only so much we can do, and the more damage that's done, or the more money we have to spend on that, that's less money you're gonna get somewhere else in the community.
Council, any other questions? Thank you, Chandra. That will conclude the City of Winter's department reports for this evening. City of Winter has no bid openings. City of Winter has no public hearings this evening. There are no Board of Adjustments. There are no old business items. City of Winter now moves on to new business. Tonight, the City of Winter has 5 items under new business. Council, is there a motion on item number 1?
I will make a motion on item number 1, mayoral appointment of Kathleen Trandle to the Planning Commission Board effective January 1st, 2023.
Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second that.
Councilman Hockett has made a motion to approve the mayoral appointment of Kathleen Trandle to the Planning Commission Board effective January 1st, 2023. Councilman Sprinkle has seconded the motion. The floor is open to comments or questions, council.
If I may, the purpose behind having it effective January 1st is she was able to attend the only Planning Commission meeting in January. So it was suggested that she be backdated for that.
Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Chair will call the question. All those in favor of appointing Kathleen Trandle to the Planning Commission effective January 1st, 2023, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, would you please say nay? The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously, 6-0. Item number 2, council. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, it would be my pleasure to make a motion of the mayoral appointment of Jim Day to the Planning Commission Board.
Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second that.
Councilman Clay has made a motion to approve the mayoral appointment of Jim Day to the Planning Commission Board. Councilman Burns has seconded that motion. The floor is open to comments or questions. Hearing none, Chair will call the question. All those in favor of appointing Jim Day to the Planning Commission Board, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, would you please say nay? The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously 6-0. Item number 3, council, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Country Club South subdivision plot certification from the city of Winter.
Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Councilman Clent has made a motion to approve the Country Club South subdivision plat certification from City of Winter. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Hockett. Floor is open to comments or questions, council.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jensen.
if I may, there have been several questions that have come up at some of the committee meetings when this plat was talked about and reviewed, and I just wanted to touch base on a few of those things that have been most of concern to some of the folks. I would say that between myself and Jake Morris, we had identified several things on the plat where arguably it's not going to comport with what the city requirements would be if this property was in the city. It's not in the city. Because of the fact that it touches the city of Winter, they're required by law to present the plat to the city, and that's something that I wasn't realizing until I went back and studied the statute again today. But because, I mean, if there was a buffer zone, they could bring it to the city for courtesy purposes, but would not be required to. But because it touches the city, they're required to present the plat to the city and ask the city to approve it. If you'll notice the language that appears where the resolution is prepared for the signature of the mayor and the finance officer, all you're really doing is saying that from our standpoint, the city agrees and concurs that the statutory steps have been followed in having this plat presented to the city. That's what your certification essentially says. So we had talked with John, who is Mr. Grossenberg's surveyor. We had several discussions with him. He is understanding my concern and Jake's concern, and that is that if in fact in the future the tenants of that area make a decision that they want to proceed with being annexed into the city, they understand that there will be several things that they will have to do at their expense before they would be in compliance with the requirements to be eligible to be annexed into the city. Not the least of which is some of the things to do with the road, the curb and gutter, things like that. As far as the plat that's in front of you now, I don't have any objection. I don't have any reason why the council should not approve it. I would recommend that you do so, so that it can proceed forward. There's nothing here that is at all jeopardizing the future ability of the city of Winter to be involved when they need to be.
Thank you for the clarification, because I was curious why we were approving a plat that wasn't in the city of Winter. Thank you.
Any other comment or question?
Is that time in the future, is that when the city could say, we want 2 points of access rather than one?
We could. We don't have any way to enforce that right now.
Because it's not in the city.
Because it's not in the city, that's
But even
correct.
though they're getting their access now from a city street,
Correct.
and only from a city street, we can't say we want a secondary outlet or inlet.
We can ask for it, we're not entitled to require it.
Brad, we have been asking Sunset to have an additional.
And we don't have it, do we?
For 25 years, we still don't have it, so your point is.
Do you want that again,
Quit
Mr.
laughing.
Do you
No,
want
no,
that
no.
again?
No,
That's my concern.
I don't. And if there's anything we can do to prevent that from happening again, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
So,
and that's my
no.
only concern.
Yep.
Yep.
And that should be, by looking at plot, that shouldn't be too hard to do. Have another point of access.
But that'll come if they ever ask for
Yeah.
it to be annexed in, correct? That's when the time to do
This
that.
not being in the
Correct.
city limits is no different than driving into Mary's yard. You don't have two accesses, you know, it's out in the country, you can have one access.
But he's not asking to be brought into the city.
No, neither are these.
But in the future, that's what I'm asking. We can implement that requirement then, if those people want to be annexed into the city.
There is the possibility of including a lot of different requirements, and that would be one of them that you would have the opportunity.
From the conversation that we had with Jake Morris from DGR, in the future, if that would happen, Brad, all the planning and zoning requirements for the city of Winter would come into play if that happens. So I think that alleviates a lot of the concerns. May not have happened in the past, but it definitely should going forward if it's handled correctly. Council, do you have any other questions or dialogue? Hearing none, Chair is going to call a roll call vote on this. Councilman Clunt,
Yes.
Councilman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Sprinkle,
Yes.
Councilman Burns,
Yes.
Councilman Clay,
Yes.
and Councilman Schramm. The ayes have it, and this motion will carry unanimously 6-0. Item number 4 tonight, council. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to adjust the wages of Heather Dorst in the corrections to $19.32 an hour for their med aid certification.
Is there a second to this motion?
I'd second that.
Councilman Clunt has made a motion to adjust the wages of Heather Dorsey in corrections to $19.32 an hour for their medical aid certification. That motion was seconded by Councilman Sprinkle. The floor is open to comments or questions. Hearing none, Chair will call the question. All those in favor of adjusting the wages of Heather Dorsey, would you please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and this motion will pass unanimously, 6-0. Final item under new business tonight. Council, is there a motion?
Make a motion to pay the claims.
Is there a second to this motion?
I'd second that, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Clunt has made a motion to pay the claims for the city of Winter. That motion has been seconded by Councilman Clay. Council, floor is open to comments or questions.
Mr. Mayor, we need to pull one of the claims from the list. It's item number 20 for review, and it's to Lester Plank for $410.70. If you would include that in your motion, Councilman Clunt and Clay.
Councilman Clunt, would you? Councilman Clay? Are there any further comments or questions? Hearing none, Chair calls the question. All those in favor of paying the claims for the city of Winter with the removal of item 20, would you please say aye? Aye. All opposed, would you please say nay? The ayes have it, and this motion carries unanimously, 6-0. Council, I have no scheduled executive sessions. Floor is open.
I have a question that I should have brought up when we were at the.
Communications.
Before, we adjusted the wages for somebody that got a med aid certification. And we've adjusted that wage to be less than the starting wage to be a jail officer. Is that how it should be?
I'm going to direct that comment.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't ask it when
Nope,
we were
that-
on it, but.
I'll allow. No, the reason that is they are not a corrections officer. They are in the medical department as a CNA, so that has a different starting wage
Very
than
good.
a corrections officer. So with the Med Aid certification, that brings them up to that wage.
Thank you.
You bet.
Council, if there are no further questions, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. That was kind of a draw. Who would like, Councilman Sprinkle has made the motion to adjourn, Councilman Clay with the second. All those in favor of adjourning, would you please say aye? Aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and this motion carries unanimously to adjourn at 7:09 PM.